Hello, my name is Omar Elizondo, and I am going to introduce you to what is called Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation. The 4 levels of evaluation were developed in 1959 by Donald Kirkpatrick. The purpose of these 4 levels of evaluation is essentially used to determine if any instructor-led training is actually going to yield a positive result. The 4 levels of evaluation can be seen in a variety of industries, from industrial industries, education, and you can even use it in a classroom if modified correctly. In this presentation, I will be going over the 4 levels of evaluation. These are the 4 levels of evaluation. In this triangle or pyramid, you can see that the very first level is the foundation. Level 1 is the reaction. The second level of evaluation is the learning. The third level is behavior. And the final level, level 4, are the results. I will go into detail on each level. Let's start with level 1, reaction. Level 1 evaluation is called the reaction. It's a very low level of determining feedback from the individuals utilizing the program tool. So we want to know their opinion. It's a very general opinion. It doesn't need to go into much detail. This is considered the smiley chart. Sometimes you might go to a restaurant and you might have a very few choices to make regarding feedback to the actual restaurant. And you can simply click on a happy face, a medium face, or a sad face based on evaluating the restaurant. You might see these in other locations in the world, sometimes at airports or a dentist. Charts like this are not unfamiliar to us. So essentially what you're trying to evaluate from the users is their general reaction. How do they feel about the program that they were able to utilize? It's the first level, it's typically the easiest, and it allows for many participants to respond. It's not very detailed, but it increases the chances of gaining feedback. Level 1 is the reaction level of the 4 levels of evaluation. It's the first, and it's usually the easiest. We essentially want to know, how did the participants respond to the training? We're hoping it's positive, but at this first level, we can get some rudimentary feedback, and we can receive feedback from a variety of users. In level 2, we're going to be looking at things a little bit more deeply. We want to establish if the users of the program are actually learning. Hence, level 2 evaluation is called the learning level. This one tends to focus a little bit more not on simple emotional responses, but proof and evidence of achievement of desired outcomes. One of the unique aspects of level 2 is that it should consist of a pre and post test. So that way the users can use that information for reflection, but additionally for the teachers or the instructional designers can make modifications based on growth by the users. This is the first level that allows for a measurable outcome. We, the developers, want to know if students or the users are actually learning in this level. At this point, we've gone over 2 levels. Level 1, which is the reaction level, and we just want to know, did the respondents like the actual program? In level 2, we are checking for growth. How much did the participants learn from that training, and have their skills improved? Level 2 is the first level that checks for measurable outcomes. Now let's take a look at level 3, behavior. Level 3 is evaluation of behavior by the users. It's considered to be the ultimate test of program effectiveness. The reason for this is because behavior is difficult to change. So in evaluation of behavior, we are looking to see if skills, knowledge, or attitude has changed based on the training. This can be difficult for a variety of reasons, but one of them is that behavior tends to change at any time during a program's use, and different users change their behavior at different rates. Some users may change their behavior from the training very quickly, and others not so. But this is only accurate based on when and how the actual measurements of the training were conducted. So it is often considered best to train individuals repeatedly if necessary, but additionally check for modifications of behavior repeatedly as well. I imagine that this level probably takes a while, and the time period in which this evaluation behavior occurs may be very lengthy. So definitely allow for plenty of time when conducting level 3 evaluations, as behavior is not changed when we want it to. It is changed when the users learn from the training program and then make the change themselves. Some additional information to support level 3 evaluation is understanding why some users may not make the changes or meet the objectives of the actual training program. First, participants never learn the skill or concept. Even though we provide resources to users, they may not fully utilize it or utilize it at all. Unfortunately, a product of that is that they will never learn the skill or the concept. Another is the skill or concept was never retained. It's important that the information is retained, but typically it needs to be used after the course. And that's the third bullet point. The skill or concept must be used after the course. If we are teaching any type of training information to a user and it is not utilized, it will likely never be retained. So, in consideration to evaluation of behavior, this is a method that is used to determine if the actual training program is beneficial for the users. Level 3 behavior. We wanted to know, have participants applied what they learned from the training? It's a very challenging level and it requires a lot of determination. The final level, level 4, is the results. Let's talk about that. Level 4 evaluation of results really focuses on the bottom line. Based on the goals of the program, that may be to increase quality, decrease costs, reduce complaints, increase sales and profits. It really determines whether a program is effective or not. But more importantly, it helps to justify whether the program should be retained or should it be modified. It is important to consider that sufficient time needs to be allowed to actually see the impact or the final results of the training program. So sufficient time is needed to ensure that the bottom line is affected positively or negatively. To reiterate, the 4 levels of evaluation are reaction, learning, behavior, and results. Level 1's reaction is meant to focus the emotional response from the users on the actual training tool. In level 2, we want to find out how much did the participants learn from in the training, and that usually involves a pre and post test. In level 3, we're trying to find out if participants have actually applied what they've learned. And in level 4 results, we want to see what benefits there are to the actual organization and if the training needs to be retained or modified. Some comments on Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation are that the levels are simplistic and they're casually linked to each other. In many of the slides, I showed the 4 levels of evaluation as a pyramid, as if they were building on each other. And in some instances, that can be seen. In others, they do seem to be casually linked. For example, levels 1, 2, and 3 do seem to support each other in the building of knowledge. However, it is level 4 where the organizational perspective is considered And sometimes that is just not valuable in regards to looking at education. However, if you work for an institution or a large public traded company, you may want to look at those benefits. Another criticism is that is an assumption that training is going to cause change. This is not always true. Many individuals are trained in a variety of tools and skills. However, those trainings need to actually change behavior. And at times, institutions may provide training but not yield the result of that training, as the users do not truly believe in it. Last, it does not question the influence on motivation and attitudes, or even the surrounding environment of the users. It simply determines if the training material was useful for the users. There are many outside forces that are impactful on how a person learns. The individual motivation by that person, as well as any other outside environmental context as that the user may be going through at that any given time. For example, a death in the family, a marriage, or a new birth of a baby might have large influence on the success of a person when they use a training program. Now let's look at some strengths and limitations of Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation. On the left, I have strengths. First, it's very simple to conceptualize this concept. It's a pyramid, they build on each other, and there's only 4 levels that are very simple to understand. The levels themselves are simple categories: reaction, learning, appropriate on-the-job behaviors, and organizational results. That's very simple to conceptualize for the average user. Last, it was created specifically for training interventions, and thus it is perceived as a reliable approach to evaluation. What that means is that perhaps this may not be the best for initial learning, but it is great to determine if interventions or supporting educational systems are useful for the users. On the right, I have some of the limitations. The simplicity of it can lead to some misunderstandings. The users or the developers of any program that is using the 4 levels of evaluation may have some overgeneralizations on how each level functions. So without specific guidelines, the developers might overgeneralize. Next, it needs to be fully address all important indicator categories. When you are evaluating performance on whether a learning system is useful, what are the performance indicators and are they actually being measured? Last, levels are not hierarchies. While the image is a pyramid, there does seem to be a disconnect between those levels. They don't always tend to build onto each other, especially between level 3 and level 4. And oftentimes, the model is typically and only partially utilized. Typically, levels 1, 2, and 3 are the most commonly used. These are my references for Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation. In summary, I recommend critically utilizing Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation. I think it's simple enough that most people will benefit from it. There are some limitations, mainly due to some overgeneralizations, but if you use Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation, you yourself will be able to find opportunities to make modifications to enhance your need for it. My name is Omar Elizondo, and I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope you too use Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation. Thank you very much.